Several US presidents have infamously been assassinated throughout history, but this fate has only been shared by one UK Prime Minister, Spencer Perceval, in 1812, just over the water in St Stephen's Hall. It's often overlooked, so in this video I'm going to tell you all about the only UK Prime Minister to be assassinated, including the motives of the assassin and their eventual fate. So the assassin was a man named John Bellingham, who was born in the UK around the year 1769, and in the year 1800 he went off to Russia to work as an export representative before briefly returning to England and marrying. He then went back to Russia, where in 1804 he became entangled in an insurance affair for a Russian ship that had been lost at sea. Bellingham was accused of being the author of an anonymous letter claiming that the ship had been sabotaged. He of course denied this, but he was fined 5,000 rubles for his believed involvement and prevented from leaving Russia to return to England. He then spent the next 5 years in and out of Russian prisons and intermittently on the streets, all while appealing for help from the British ambassador, who declined to help him on the grounds that it was outside his area of influence. Bellingham was eventually able to return to the UK in December of 1809 after appealing directly to the Russian Tsar, but he returned in a very bitter and traumatised state of mind and blamed the government for his now poor economic situation and lost time spent in the Russian prisons. Perhaps understandably, Bellingham then spent the next few years obsessed with trying to win compensation from the government, who again refused to help him as they'd broken off relations with Russia. Crucially, on April 12, 1812, Bellingham visited the Foreign Office, where a civil servant told him to take whatever measures he deemed necessary. So he then purchased 2 pistols and was frequently seen visiting Parliament, planning to assassinate someone. So on May 11, 1812, Bellingham calmly waited inside St Stephen's Hall outside the Parliament debating chambers, and when Spencer Perceval, now Prime Minister, emerged, he stepped forward and shot him in the heart, before, bizarrely, calmly just sitting down rather than trying to escape in the confusion. Perceval died shortly after at the scene, sadly leaving behind a widow and several children, while Bellingham was easily identified, arrested and sent to Newgate Prison, despite the fact that he could have escaped. Newgate Prison was mostly demolished early in the 1900s, but I'm going to head to what's left of it, where I'll tell you all about the reaction to the assassination and what happened to Bellingham. So Bellingham would have been brought here to the site of the old Newgate Prison. Today it's the Old Bailey in central London, though there are a few surviving walls behind the building. The ruling class's immediate concern was that Bellingham was part of a wider rebellion. The Napoleonic Wars were raging across Europe at the time, and Britain's expensive involvement had led to economic hardship for many. The recent French Revolution had also inspired many across Europe to rebel, and British leaders feared a similar situation in this country. People in some cities across England did actually welcome the news of Perceval's assassination, such as in Liverpool and Nottingham, due to his economic policies negatively affecting those regions. But Bellingham is believed to have been working alone, although it remains uncertain how he purchased pistols despite being in an economic hardship himself. Questions were also raised about Bellingham's mental state and if he could be held accountable for his actions. Spending many years in a Russian prison in the early 1800s must have been traumatizing, but he was deemed to be sane and accountable for his actions and therefore sentenced to death. So what do you think? Was Bellingham working alone, and was he sane and therefore accountable for his actions? Comment below and let me know, and thanks for watching.